This here might end up being Australia's most affordable plug-in hybrid SUV. It's the BYD Sealion 5. And yes, it does look a little bit different to other models in the BYD range, a little bit older, maybe a little bit less high-tech. But hey, if the price is right, it could end up being the right car for you. I'd love to hear what you think it should cost. Have you say in the comments, and let's check it out, shall we? Sealion 5 time. The Sealion 5 will be positioned as a more affordable alternative to the Sealion 6. Now, it already starts at a pretty assertive price point, so you can expect this one to be less than $40,000, and there's going to be two different versions available when it arrives. Both will share the same powertrain, a plug-in hybrid front-wheel drive setup, but there's going to be two grades. As I said, the entry-level one will be called Essential, and then you're going to have this top-spec version called Premium, and the Premium one's going to add a few extra features like 18-inch alloy wheels and hand-cooked tyres. The base grade will still have plenty of other spec and tech, but the standard gear here includes things like a power tailgate, you've got Bluetooth digital key, there's keyless entry as well, and you've got a 12.8-inch touchscreen media system, an 8.8-inch driver info screen. Of course, you've got things like wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a 9-speaker stereo, power adjustable front seats, driver's seat heated and ventilated front seat as well. So just for the driver, well, I guess you get to experience a bit of pleasure in your life if you're the driver and commuting a lot. And then there's a 15-watt wireless phone charger, so a little bit slow on the wireless charging front. But beyond that, you've also got plenty of standard safety tech and spec, including a 360-degree camera as standard too. So going to be parking friendly and going to be pretty urban friendly in terms of the drive experience. But hey, if you're thinking about a cheap plug-in hybrid, there's some alternatives you might want to think about as well. It really depends on what the price is in terms of the best alternative to this, but if you are looking for a very, very affordable plug-in hybrid SUV about this size, have a look at the Chery Tiggo 7 Super Hybrid. It's not a bad machine. It's maybe a little bit unfinished feeling in some ways, but I do think that the value for money equation there is strong, and it's pretty spacious and comfy as well in the front and the back. And it's got a decent sized boot too. Another fantastic plug-in hybrid that is very value focused, if you are after exactly that, is the Geely Starray EMI. That super hybrid model offers a good amount of EV driving range and real world efficiency, a lovely interior finish, plenty of space, and while it also feels a little bit unfinished in terms of some of the safety tech and the driving stuff, it does have a very, very strong price point. And then there's the BYD Sealion 6, which is going to sit slightly above this one, and I do think it feels like the best alternative as an all-rounder. It's comfy, it's practical, it still looks pretty cool, and it still has a very nice interior. It starts at around $42,000 for that one. So what would you do? Or would you wait and see what the price is here? Rightio, let's have a look at the design of this model. Now, it's the Dynasty design language, so the old school language in my opinion. Look, I do think that it is still not ugly, but certainly not as attractive as some of the others. It looks a bit like a bird at the front to me. And in terms of the size, it's not too bad. It's actually bigger than it probably appears on your screen, more than 4.7 meters long on a long wheelbase as well. It's only 3 centimeters or so shorter than the Sealion 6. And on the high grade version, you're going to get the 18-inch alloy wheels with hand-cooked tyres. Now, this car has Gitti tyres, but yeah, it's an interesting option. You've got a multi-link rear suspension as well. We'll get to the driving stuff shortly. And the rear does look a little bit more modern than the front, in my opinion. I actually don't mind it. Now, let's have a look in the boot and see what we're working with. Okay, boot button is down here, and it does have an electric tailgate, as I said. And you can see it's also got a decent amount of boot capacity. You'll see the number on your screen now, and that is pretty generous for an SUV of this size. You've got some good storage nooks on the side of this platformed area. There's a light in there. You've also got the cargo cover, and on that side, you've got another big storage area. And what's that? What's that say? I don't know, I can't read tool language. Now under here, you do have no spare wheel, so that could be a consideration. There's a massive section where you could probably potentially fit one, but it's not fitted for whatever reason. But you do have space under there with some partition storage for things like a charge cable and tyre repair kits. There's no spare wheel. So look, I don't know that it's the perfect answer to everyone's questions, but it does seem pretty practical. Now let's check out the interior and see what it's like. Okay, let's look at the interior, and just like the exterior, it's maybe not as cutting edge or up to the minute as some of the other models in the range, but I do think that it is still a nicely presented cabin. Just feels a little bit smaller in here than some of the other models in this lineup. Smaller is the theme as well, because you do have a smaller driver info screen there. It does have a good amount of information available to you though. And then there's a smaller touchscreen media system as well. You might be perfectly fine with that. It doesn't jut out quite as much as some of the others, but it does leave a bit of a gap underneath, which seems a bit unfinished looking. But honestly, I think that this is going to have the tech and spec that you would expect. You've got some quick menus on the bottom there. You've also got your climate stuff. If you just tap that button, it will stay there on the bottom of the screen. So that is neat. Yep, you've got fan adjustment by touch, and also a number of your other things are controlled by touch as well. You've got driver's seat, as I said, heating and ventilation, which is a bit peculiar. No one else gets that comfort, but hey, too bad. The driver that matters, isn't it? Now, so that screen, I think you'll get used to it. I'll do more detail on it when I get a chance to drive this car more seriously, but let's have a look at what else is on offer in the cabin here. So wireless phone charger, 15 watts, a little bit slow. You've got a sort of strange looking shaped shifter with a park button on top, your bejeweled start stop button. You've also got a volume scroller and some controls down here, which thankfully aren't piano black in the majority. There's still some piano black, but hey, you've got a drive mode controller, as you can see right there. If I toggle through, it will change what shows up on that screen as well. And then you've also got your EV and HEV mode controller right there. Auto hold, so it won't creep forward in traffic if that's what you want, and some other controls as well. But decent little cup holders here, and a reasonably good sized center console bin, and in here a good sized glove box. Sorry, there's lots of mess in this car. It's just a quick turnaround thing. And you've also got bottle holders in the doors. The seats are pretty comfy, I have to say. They're fitted with this fake leather trim, which might not be to all tastes, but hey, I do like the orange trimming. It does add a little bit of flair in here. And this one also comes with a big glass roof. It's actually a massive glass roof. Auto dimming rearview mirror in this one as well. And you've got the old illuminated vanities with non-extendable sun visors, some sunglass holderage up there, and some other controls for your sunroof there too. So look, I reckon the interior front seat experience is pretty promising. Can't wait to spend a bit more time in this one, but let's check out the back seat and I'll give you an idea of whether it's spacious enough. Okay, I'm 6 foot tall. That seat's set for about my driving position. Look how much space I've got. Lots and lots of leg room, fair amount of foot room as well. Just ignore the plastic on the floor there. That's not standard. And you've also got some decent headroom as well with this thin-ish cover. It's still got a cover, but it's not as thick as some of the others out there. You've got overhead grab handles and little hooks for your coat. Lights, which are touch sensitive. They're pretty nice bits of design. And look, you've also got BYD design inscribed there, as you can see. You've got directional air vents there as well, which is great. Down below, there's some charge port options and a little storage area. And you've got map pockets on the seat backs, which are fully enclosed. There's bottle holders in the doors as well. And if you're wondering about the child seat situation, well, you do have the capability to have ISOFIX attachments on the window seats and 3 top tethers. So look, in theory, you might be able to fit 3 across here. It's a little bit tighter than some others in the class, but I do think that it is still pretty roomy. And you've got a flip down armrest with cup holders if you're just running 2 in the back. And I do like some of the design elements in here. Those thick grab handles are nice, and the finishing in here, the trim, is actually pretty good. I also like that it's got a light headliner because it makes it feel more spacious and roomy and comfy and likable for backseat riders. Under the bonnet of the Sealion 5 is a 1.5 litre non-turbocharged petrol engine, which combines with some electrification to offer you a maximum output, which is decent for a mid-size SUV. And then, of course, there's the battery pack and EV stuff that we'll talk about in the next section. But first, The performance claim for this one, 0 to 100, is 8.1 seconds. It's front wheel drive only, which is not too bad, I would suggest, for this segment. Maybe not as fast as some of the others though. All right, let's talk EV range and charging stuff. On the curb side of the car is your fuel filler cap, but on the other side you'll find your EV charging point, and it is an AC only option for this model. It doesn't have DC fast charging. It is a budget focused one, so it's not necessarily as up to the minute in terms of the charging specs and capability, but it does have a reasonably large EV battery, which you'll see the capacity of on your screen, and also the claimed EV driving range is on screen now as well. So yeah, not too bad, but certainly not going to suit everyone. But let's go see what it's like to drive, hey? All right, so we're going for a drive in the Sealion 5, and look, I have to say straight away, this one is not going to be the ultimate driving tool. If you're the sort of person who thinks that they need a really joyful experience when they drive, I don't think this one's going to be the go. It doesn't necessarily have the same level of sophistication in terms of the suspension as some of the other models in the range, and the steering just isn't as good as you might be hoping for. I think it's perfectly adequate if you're a commuter, but if you are looking for something that does do the whole corner carving thing, this certainly is not going to be the absolute best choice for you. Look, it's got pretty soft feeling suspension. The steering, yep, it's relatively numb. I can't necessarily feel what's happening at the front axle. And I think really, as I said, for commuters, it'll be great, but if you're a country road tourist and you really love just going for a hoon, yeah, this might not necessarily be perfect for your requirements. But what is pretty impressive is this powertrain. In a lot of different situations, it offers a good amount of urgency. So if I just come down to a bit of a slow here, and rightio, we'll come to a complete stop, why not, and just give it a bootful. Yeah, you've got that electric urgency, bit of scrabble at the front axle as things try and catch up. And then when the engine kicks in, yeah, you're at 100 k's an hour relatively speedily. But yeah, it's certainly, again, not the fastest plug-in hybrid you could choose. It's not the most thrilling to drive, but I think for the right customer, it could still be a very nice option. It's comfort focused. The suspension is pretty cruisy over bigger lumps and bumps. Certainly not the best body control in the segment, but I do think that if you're okay with the way that this car drives, it might be a bargain friendly option. And the powertrain, I think, is really impressive. I can't wait to drive it for a longer period to see what the EV range is actually like and see what it's like in urban driving situations, because that's where this car is, in my mind, going to spend a lot of its time. But out here at Lang Lang at the Proving Ground, I've just been able to do a couple of quick loops of this higher speed section. But yeah, promising but not perfect, I would say, is the way I would describe the initial impressions of this drive. All right, but that's just part of the equation, isn't it? We all know that plug-in hybrids do have efficiency and EV as part of the equation to consider. And the EV driving range, as I mentioned earlier, is pretty good for this vehicle on paper, at least. I haven't been able to test that here, but if you can get this sort of claimed fuel efficiency number that this car claims, you'll see it on your screen, you'll be happy, because that is a low number. But hey, that's probably only going to be realistic for the first 100 k's or so, and then after that you will get still a relatively decent depleted battery consumption number of about 4.5 litres per 100 k's. And if you can get that as a hybrid runaround SUV like this, I think you'll be extremely happy. And also, it's got a reasonably decent fuel tank capacity, which you'll see on screen now. For a lot of people, like I said, budget-friendly commuter option, it could be a strong contender. And I do think that generally the drive experience seems pretty promising. But ring the bell, you'll be notified when I get a chance to drive it in a bit more detail and tell you a bit more stuff about it. This car hasn't been tested by ANCAP or Euro NCAP, so we'll have to wait and see what it gets in terms of a score if it is tested. And it does have a decent amount of standard safety spec and tech. As you would expect, BYD does prioritize that across all of its model ranges, and this one is no exception, even though it's going to be a budget-focused model. So you've got things like autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection, there's adaptive cruise control, there's lane keeping assistance, speed sign recognition, a driver monitoring camera, and I can't tell you whether any of them are annoying because, well, I haven't really sampled them on this test, but there's also blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, front and rear parking sensors, and a 360 camera is offered too. So lots and lots of spec and tech, and there's 7 airbags as well. Dual front side, a front center airbag, and curtain coverage for the window seat occupants. So safety seems like it's going to tick the box, hey? I think the price is going to be the big determining factor for the success of the BYD Sealion 5, but I'd love to know what you think it should cost. Personally, I reckon the base grade should be around $35,000 and about $40,000 for this one, but we'll have to wait and see. And I'd love to know whether you think those prices would be good enough for you to consider this vehicle. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and don't forget to ring the bell and you'll be notified when I get a chance to do more with the Sealion 5, including more EV range testing. And hey, I'll see you when I see you.